Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making an almond coconut cake. So it's going to be a nice sponge cake, and it's going to be cut into 3 layers and then sandwiched with a coconut, cream cheese and cream frosting, and then covered all over with the frosting and then covered with more coconut as well. Now I saw the recipe in various places. One particular one was from Home Cooking Adventure, I think it was called, and I'll put a link to that recipe in my blog. I'm varying my version slightly from that, but it's still very similar. And so I'll go through the ingredients for the cake first, and that is 6 egg whites and 6 egg yolks, 100 grams of ground almonds, 125 grams of plain flour, a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of almond extract, and 200 grams of sugar. I'm using caster sugar. I have my oven preheating at 170 Celsius, 150 Celsius with a fan, 340 Fahrenheit. And I've also taken a 9-inch cake tin. In my case it's a springform cake tin, and I've greased it and lined it with parchment paper to make removing the cake easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is to whisk the egg whites with the sugar and the salt until we get stiff peaks. So we'll get on with that. I'll put the salt into the egg, and I'll start whisking and then gradually add the sugar. Okay, so our egg whites have reached a stiff peak stage, so I'm just going to put those to one side, and I'm going to take the egg yolks and the almond extract, and I'm just going to whisk those together to break them up. And then I'm going to pour those onto the egg whites, and I'm going to gently mix it in. That's fine, and then the last thing to do is to mix in the almonds and the flour, and I'm going to put those into the same bowl and just mix those together. And I'm going to add them in maybe a third of it at a time and gently fold it in. It will look grainy because ground almonds are not as fine as the plain flour. And then when that's all combined, and that seems to be just about it, we'll take our cake tin and pour the batter into the tin. And spread it around until it's even. And with that, I'm going to put it in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes and allow it to bake. Then I'll take it out of the oven and I'm going to allow it to cool for 15 minutes before I take it out of the cake tin. So I'll come back and show you it as I take it out of the cake tin. Then it has to cool down completely. But while it's actually baking, I'm going to set up and I'll be back with you to make the frosting that's going to go in between the layers and all over the cake. Okay, so for the frosting, I have 250 grams of mascarpone cheese. I have 200 grams of white chocolate, 45 grams of coconut milk, 40 grams of desiccated coconut. I'm going to use 500 millilitres of double cream and 30 grams of icing sugar. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to pour the coconut milk into the chocolate, and I'm going to place that onto a pan of gently simmering water so that that melts. And while that's melting, I'm just going to gently mix the mascarpone cream cheese until it's nice and smooth and broken down. So, with the mascarpone cream just smoothed out, I'm going to take another bowl and I'm going to pour the 30 grams of icing sugar into the bowl, and I'm going to pour over the top of that the 500 millilitres of cream. And then using the same mixer, it doesn't matter that the mascarpone is still on the mixer blades, I'm going to start to whisk that until it begins to thicken, and then I'm going to add the 40 grams of desiccated coconut. So with our cream mixed, I can set that to one side. So there's our mascarpone cheese, our cream, and the white chocolate melted with the coconut milk. I'm going to let that chocolate just cool down a little bit. Before I go on to the next stage. Okay, so our chocolate has cooled down. I don't want it to cool too far because it will start to set, so I'm going to put that into the mascarpone cheese, and I'm going to whisk that together. Then I'm going to add in the cream mixture. So that's mixed in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer that onto the top of the cream mixture. Mix it in, and then I'm going to set it aside in the fridge to chill, covered, until our cake is ready to assemble. And I'm going to chill that in the fridge. I'm going to cover it, chill it in the fridge, so that it's ready then to spread onto our cake when I've cooled the cake down and sliced it. So the next thing will be to show you the cake as I take it out of the tin. Okay, so our cake is out of the oven and it's been cooling down for about 15 minutes. So I've taken the outer ring off, and here's our cake. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my wire rack on the top and turn it over, and then lift off the papers and the base. And I'm going to leave that to cool down completely, because we want to slice it into 3 layers, and you can't do that while it's hot. So when it's cooled down completely, I'll be back with you and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I'm back with you and our cake has cooled down, and I'm now going to cut that into 3 layers. You can do that either with a knife that you cut all the way round, turning the cake and gradually cutting through, but I'm going to try to do it with this cutter here. And once I've got into the cake, it should cut quite easily. Like that. Then I'm going to adjust it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. And cut it again. That's fine. And then I'm going to transfer the cake's layers. And I think I'm going to use the bottom as the top. So I'll use the top as the bottom. And I have here some, on my plate, some parchment paper, and I'm going to put the cake on the parchment paper. This is just to make it easier to clean the cake later. So if I pick the cake up and just position it like that. And then what I'm going to do is, I've got some raspberry jam here, and I'm going to take about a tablespoon of it and just gently spread it over the cake. This is just to give a slightly different and a slight sharp taste to what is otherwise going to be quite a sweet cake. So I don't really think I need very much, and you leave a gap around the edge. Take a little bit more. And I think that's going to be enough for that particular layer. And then we need to take our chilled frosting and spread that onto the layer. Again, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because it doesn't matter too much, but it will push down as you put the next layer on. That looks good. So then I'm going to take the second layer, put that on top, and repeat the process. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit, yeah. So more raspberry jam. And then our final layer goes on the top. And we put the remaining frosting on the top and around the sides. And then what I'm going to do is just move this mess. Is I'm going to cover it with some desiccated coconut. So I'm just going to level that off, that bit there. And just sprinkle coconut over it. And then also I want to pop some coconut on the sides as well. It's going to make a mess, but it doesn't matter. So then I'm just going to put a bit more there. I can see a little gap there that needs filling in. That's fine. I'm going to knock some of this excess off. Like that. And then I'm going to remove the parchment paper. And dispose of that. So that's the cake almost finished. So again, clear up the mess. So having covered the cake with our desiccated coconut, I could just put that in the fridge and allow it to firm up a little bit before cutting it. But what I'm going to do is just take some of these little Raffaello truffles and put them on the cake just as an additional decoration. Like that. And to finish it off, I'm going to take some roughly chopped hazelnuts and just sprinkle those in the centre. You can use as few or as many as you like. I'm going to press them down because they'll then hold in with the frosting. And that's our cake. Now I'm going to put that in the fridge. I'm going to cover it, put it in the fridge, and I'm going to allow it to firm up a little bit, because the frosting should firm up just a little bit. Then I'll come back and we'll cut it and see what it looks like and see how it tastes. Okay, so I'm back with you, and I've let the cake chill in the fridge for a little while. So now I'm going to cut it. And then I'll just clean the knife, because I tried to keep the cake clean on the inside. And I'll take that out. Hopefully it will come out nice and clean. And there's our cake. It looks quite good. So let's have a taste of it. Oh, that is good. And that raspberry jam really works so well. Yes. So, that really is very good. You can taste the white chocolate in the frosting, that mascarpone cheese and white chocolate frosting. The cake is so light, it's unbelievable. And you wouldn't necessarily think that with almonds, but 6 eggs basically is what's made that very, very light. This is delicious. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can use to get to the recipe, or you can click a link below the video to get to the recipe. And I will be back with you with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.